Game keycards, man. Can't talk enough about them. With Sony ending the production of physical games starting January 2028, that has sparked a brand new conversation around game keycards. I'm seeing a lot of people saying, like, hey, maybe Nintendo's not so bad at all with these game keycards, because at least with game keycards, we have ownership and shareability, and we can, resell the game. In fact, the whole argument that game keycards are just glorified digital games, I don't really buy into that. When you take all the properties of a full-on cart physical game, a game keycard game, and a digital game, game keycards are only missing one property from a full digital game, and that, of course, is the one-time initial download. But after that, you don't have to do any server-side check-ins or anything like that. It works completely as if it was a full-on cart game. That said, game keycards also have a property that full-on cart games don't have, and that's faster loading time. So it's kind of funny that the most ownership of the best version of a Nintendo Switch 2 game there is actually a game keycard version. But this isn't a video defending game keycards or saying that they're great or anything like that. In fact, I want to make it perfectly clear. Full-on cart games are the best versions of video games, and that is what I strive and hope that happens moving forward. In fact, the whole narrative that's still going on about people saying that Nintendo is just all game keycards, you don't own your games, it is so incorrect, it's not even funny. Yes, at the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2, there were a lot of game key cards. People were rushing to the store shelves, didn't care, it was cheaper. You had the 64 gigabyte option, which probably cost $15 to $17 per cart, or the game key card, which was significantly cheaper. I don't know the exact price of that, like $3 maybe or something. I don't know, very much cheaper. A lot of these companies didn't care, they just wanted to get on the store shelves and be there for day one. And that's what happened. Now we have a couple other size carts. I think there's a 16 and 32 gigabyte size. And now we're seeing more and more full-on cart games. So the fact that it's almost a 50-50 split. There's also a lot of people talking that Nintendo's doing the exact same thing as Sony is, just slower with game key cards, right? It's just a slower transition to all digital future. PlayStation, they're just ripping the band-aid off. But Nintendo, they introduced game key cards to just slowly get you used to digital games and comfortable. I don't buy this at all. That's not how I feel about it at all. In fact, I think game key cards are saving physical games and actually promoting more physical games rather than less physical games. You gotta remember something. Gamers aren't Nintendo's only customers. The publishers are also customers too. I mean, that's if you're into business at all, B2C, business to customer, and B2B, business to business. Nintendo's in this position where they have to kind of make both happy, right? Nintendo's never had good third-party support. Go back to the N64. N64 had, what, 300 games on it? PlayStation 1 had over 1,000 games. GameCube had 500 to 600 games. PS2 had like 2,000 games. The Wii had a lot of games, but I mean, a lot of that was shovelware, so who cares about that? Wii U was trash. It wasn't until the Switch that Nintendo started to get some pretty good third-party support, where some people would just put out some miracle ports. Some people would force a bad port on it just to be on Nintendo Switch. And now with Nintendo Switch 2, the hardware is capable of playing these modern games fairly well. And it's not just gamers that Nintendo has to please, but it's the publishers as well. And if a publisher like Square Enix is never going to release a game full on cart because they don't want to spend the money on that, they're either going to release the game digital only on Nintendo or not release on Nintendo at all. And so, I feel like you are in a rock and a hard place at that point. Nintendo wants to do full-on cart physical games, and they've released every single one of their games full-on cart. Pokemon Pokopia, that is not a great example because Nintendo only owns 33% of Pokemon. You have the Pokemon Company and Game Freak owning the rest. And I just imagine that there was some roundtable situation where they voted on it, and Nintendo was outnumbered on the vote to put it on a game key card. Now they just wanted a profit max, right? It'd be very interesting to see what happens with Pokemon Winds and Waves if that ends up being a game key card. If that's a game key card, then it's definitely not Nintendo's call on that. And so in order to appease these third-party developers that Nintendo wants to get their games on the console, to appease them of having the lower cost of the physical game, to get them to actually do it, and to appease gamers and, physical collectors and all that, and just valuing the retail space in general. Maybe it's not even about collectors. Maybe it's just about gift giving and just their brand of having just physical games. They created the game key card. And I don't know. I just don't mind the game key card. I don't want the generation to move to full game key cards. I want it to move to more full-on card games. But I'm not going to be one of those people who keep saying that game key cards are not good enough. I think that's just such an easy political correct statement, but I'm a gamer. I'm in the business of playing games. And to be honest, when it comes to my purchasing decisions, just preservation is just not the highest, most important thing to me. I want to, I want to preserve a game that I'm going to play, but I want to first and foremost play the game. I'm not looking to open up a museum someday or like have books written about me of just this insane preservation effort I made. I really just don't care about the preservation. I want to play the game. And again, I buy games and I'm buying them more than I can play them for when I retire someday. That is my retirement plan, is just to just be holed up and play through these games that I've always wanted to play that I don't have the time right now. And so accessibility is the number one thing. Not necessarily preservation, but accessibility. And Nintendo's proven with the Wii and DSi with those digital games that you can still download them to this day. It's over 20 years later. And that just tells me that like we're something on such an archaic system, in terms of like server infrastructure, and Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 being way more modern, that these things are probably around for even more than 20 years, at least more than 20 years after the console goes, out of life cycle. And since the eShop is like the same between the two, even if like they stop making Nintendo Switch ones, the eShop is still alive. And I don't know, I think that like there's a good chance that Nintendo Switch 3 still uses a game key card slot. Maybe things go more full game key cards, even first party Nintendo. I really don't think that. I think they do understand that gaming is art and understand the importance of having the whole game on the card. That is clearly the move that they have been making. But yeah, they have to appease both gamers and the other businesses. And so game key cards almost was like a necessary evil in terms of that. But if I was to just avoid game key cards, I would miss out on so many great games that I want to play on Nintendo Switch 2, and I want to have all those attributes that game key cards offer that are very, very, very close to physical games, right? There's just one con and one pro to game key cards. Better performance is the pro. The con is I have to do that first initial download. And if that first initial download was enough to turn me off, I wouldn't have some very great games in my collection, and my collection would just look like every other full-on cart only Nintendo Switch 2 owner. And I like Square Enix games. I like RPGs. I like Bandai Namco games. I like Capcom games. I want that representation in my library. I want to look at my shelf and get inspired on what to play. I haven't opened up the virtual keycard section on my Nintendo Switch 2 in over a year. I have so many digital games. I have a huge backlog of digital games, of Switch 1 digital games, because of good sales I've picked up through on there. I'm like, yeah, I'll browse through this someday and look and find what to play, just the same way I do with my Steam library. But my physical library I look at every day and it's inspiring me. I'm like, man, I want to play that game next. I want to play that game next. I really want to play that game next, but I can't play everything all at once. And so the odds are whatever's on my shelf is going to get played before whatever's on my digital shelf. I have a couple games here I want to go over to just express why I actually really like game key cards as an option. I wish it was all full on cart. Don't get me wrong, I can't emphasize that enough, but I've been thinking a lot about Xbox Live Arcade lately, where I've had physical full on disc Xbox 360 games. And I also had a good amount of Xbox Live Arcade games that were digital only. Those digital only games could have fit on a disc, but we didn't care at the time. It was just nice to have the option and the mix and the hybrid. And so I want to show like what that hybrid offers. And so I made a post on YouTube the other week when I saw this and picked this up. Dragon Quest VII Reimagined. I was on a work trip and there was a Target by my hotel. And I went there. And they had this game on clearance. I saw it with the clearance sticker on it. $60 on sale for $18. What a steal for a Dragon Quest game. Like, I haven't played enough Dragon Quest. This is a huge thing on my backlog. I love Dragon Ball Z. I love RPGs. I need to play Dragon Quest. This was not on my radar to pick up anytime soon. $18. I looked online on Target.com. It was on sale for $45. So this one store was just deciding to just clear it out, make room for something else. And that's just awesome about the retail space and why I don't want to lose retail games, because some of my favorite games, I think about my GameCube collection and all that, were games I picked up because they were just on dirt cheap clearance. I was just kind of like, why not? That impulse buy. That's where some of my favorite games in my collection have come from. And I love that. And so yeah, I saw this. I was just like, yeah, gotta pick that up. But imagine if I was so stubborn that it was a game key card. Ugh, I don't want to pick that up. It's a game key card. I'd miss out on some great games, right? I don't want all my games in my library to be game key cards, but I'm not gonna shun them. And the fact that they exist when Black Friday comes around, all these summer sales, these games are going to go on big sale, and the people who are against game key cards, that kind of helps me. It helps me because that puts these games on clearance, and yeah, I'll pick them up. I'll pick them up on clearance, and I love that. And so the other game I want to talk about is kind of the opposite. This is a full-on cart game. I just recently picked this up. Trucks and Extreme. This is a shoot 'em up game, and spaceship and all that. I haven't played it yet, but when I'm shopping and collecting games on Nintendo Switch 2, this game, if all games are full on cart, I never would have picked this up. If this was a game key card, I never would have picked this up. But when the pickings are slim for full on cart games, and I pre-ordered this a while ago, now I'm looking, it's like the back half of this year, there's just so many full on cart games. If the game is full on cart, it's like free marketing. It's like free advertisement that's like, hey, like for collectors, like this is the game to get. And then I'm looking at him like, this game looks like something I'm gonna really enjoy. I don't have enough shoot 'em ups in my library, and I haven't played enough like over the years. And I know I love the genre, and so I'm like, yeah, I'll pick this up. That's awesome. I don't know how big the print run's gonna be, so I'll pick this up right away. That's what I did with Mio, and they went under, and that game, $30 game, ended up being resold for $100 on eBay. So yeah, I'll get this right away and add this to my library. And so, two very different games, right? This one probably has more playtime and almost more value. This was the more expensive game because I got this one on clearance. But I'm getting way more indie games, way more niche games like this because of the existence of game key cards. Anything that's full on cart instantly becomes higher on the radar from a collector standpoint. And game key cards are still very playable games. In fact, they're the best performant versions of games while also applying a lot of ownership for the game. And I don't want to miss out on this either. And because it's physical and not a digital only game, I was able to get this dirt cheap versus the all digital future. And so yeah, these are just a couple examples of just why game keycards being around. It's kind of great. It's motivating more companies to put their game full on cart because it's like free advertisements. Like, oh, we're a step above the game keycard version, so it almost encourages more people to put their game full on cart for that advertisement. But if you're a big company like Square Enix and they're just like, we don't need that extra advertisement. Our brands, our games, they sell themselves, and they just want to profit max because they're big enough. Well, at least we have ownership of the game. We have every single attribute that a physical game offers, plus better performance. Of course, we have to do that one-time download, but I'm really not worried about the accessibility part of it. So yeah, it's a really interesting dynamic. People who don't want to support game keycards, I don't blame you for that, but I don't think I think if you believe that not supporting game keycards is just gonna make Square Enix change heart and be like, we have to put our game full on cart because it's not selling because it's a game keycard. People want full on cart games. I don't think that's gonna happen at all. Especially with Sony going to all digital and everybody else being all digital and Nintendo being the only one physical, there's a way higher chance that Square Enix would just be like, okay, the game keycards didn't sell, let's just save some money, we'll just put it out there full on digital. In fact, we'll make more money if we just put it out full on digital, and then people like me can't get this game for $18 when it should have been $45. And then they would have got way more money because it was a digital only sale, wouldn't have to buy the cart. And so I think boycotting game keycards is actually sending the wrong decision. I mean, keep these on the shelf so that way more of these can come out. Because when the shelf looks like this at the store, game keycard, not game keycard, this encourages more people to make a full-on cart version because there are going to be people like the collectors like us who want the full-on cart games, and that's gonna make them stand out more than the game keycard version. And at the same time, the game keycard version is just great to have for ownership, for gift giving, and all that. And I don't want that all digital future. I don't mind. I've always been a hybrid physical and digital gamer, start all the way back in the Xbox 360 era, and even with the Nintendo Switch 2 era, PS4, PS5. Looking back at it, could I have done more? Could I have just been all physical? Would that have helped? Probably. If most of us all went full physical and did not dabble in digital, it would have helped. But this really is kind of still hybrid, right? It's not full physical. I'm full on cart and key card hybrid, and I don't mind it. I'm not worried about it. And I don't know, the people who are still forcing the like game key cards are bad. It's just because the lesser of two evils doesn't make it better. It's not preservation. Like, get over it, man, with the preservation. It's not, I don't care about preservation. I care about accessibility, right? And yeah, Nintendo, they can shut the servers down. They have not done that for the Wii and the DSi. And by the time they ever shut down the Switch servers, I'm dead. I don't need books written about me for my preservation efforts. I don't need a museum. I don't know if like my kids or anybody are going to care about the physical media that I care about. It's really just me for retirement, and all I need is accessibility by then. I don't want a full game keycard collection. I don't mind a hybrid collection, and some great games are being released as keycard only, and those are going to be the versions I pick up over a digital only. Buying the digital only isn't going to send the right message. Not buying it at all isn't going to send the right message either. I do think you can call game keycards the lesser of two evils, but you could call it the better of the two options as well. And it is closer to physical, and I believe it signals more that there's a demand for physical. And with that demand for more physical, other companies will put out games full on cart, even though Square Enix most likely never has a shot. I think the best thing that could happen is Square Enix will go to a company like Limited Run Games or some other third party like boutique publisher and re-release their games again. If that happens, maybe I'll consider, updating my library and upgrading it with a full-on cart version. But at that point, I feel like many of us would be like looking at our shelves and be like, man, I could spend $100 on a full-on cart version of Dragon Quest VII Reimagined, or it's like, can play the game, I can download, I can put that $100 towards something else. Maybe if it's my favorite game of all time, there's some other like goodies with it that are collectible. I don't know. I don't know if I would upgrade or not. It's a very interesting thought that $100 could go towards something else, especially if I have a perfectly fine working version. I don't know, you guys. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Working our way up to 2,000 subscribers, so that'd be a big help. I'll see you in the next video. Later.